from Cali, now where concrete lies. She's got streams flowing in neon's embrace. Bus doors open, kids find a safe space. Th3 gaming doc fights the grind each day. From the joystick low to the streets ballet. She's the voice that echoes the restless hum. Hardcore hero where the city drums. And dreams are bred. The city roars, but her wheels still roll. Streaming at night with a fierce heart soul. Th3 gaming dog fights the grind each day. From the joystick low to the streets ballet. She's the voice that echoes the restless hum. Hardcore hero where the city drums. Cheer when her streams go live. Green glow shining, she makes them thrive. Kids in the morning don't see her night. She hides battles fought by screens, strange light. Driving their futures down bustling streets, filling small lives with the simple beats. She carries their dreams while chasing her own. Walking roads never leave her alone. Cali where the sun went red, found a home where chaos and dreams are bred. The city roars, but her wheels still roll, streaming at night with her fierce heart soul. They laugh, they cheer when her streams go live. Green glow shining, she makes them thrive. Kids in the morning don't see her night. She hides battles fought by screens, strange light. Driving their futures down bustling streets, filling small lives with the simple beats. She carries their dreams while chasing her own. Winding roads never leave her alone.
Well, greetings, gamers! This is Dr. Ayleen, the gaming doc, the driving doc, today the chatting doc. And this is your place and your space to laugh, to chat, to chill, to hang out, to take a moment, to take a break, to take a breath, and talk about the streamer dream. But first, and however, as we must always do, we must acknowledge our first 3 champions across the gate, our Olympiads. Coming in for the gold, we've got Kit Kat Gaming Raw. Coming in for the silver, we've got Cat Mom Meow. And coming in for the bronze, we've got my Pally Alley PSO6. We have also got in the house Madam Sarcasm. Oh, one of our mother-loving trucking mothers. Morning to have a cup of coffee. That is a beautiful thing. I'm drinking, what is this? Cucumber water. That's a thing. That's a thing we're doing. Anyway, we have soon to be cat and human mom. Exactly. Growing a whole human being inside your body. Fist bump, high five. Good for you. Not easy. I love Pokemon 22. Good morning. I'm supposed to be studying for a history exam, but I haven't yet. See, my dear. You added the word yet, which means you will get to it. Because if you just say, oh, I haven't studied for my history exam, I would have probably told you yet. Because as long as we add the word yet to something that we're going to do, we increase its probability of happening. Now The fact that you have, you know, it's like, all right, what is it that's keeping you from studying? And, you know, sometimes it's our good old friend procrastination. Why put off till tomorrow, which you can put off till today after tomorrow? Usually there's a reason that we avoid something, you know, and it could be based in, you know, I don't want to deal with it because the story that I have attached to it is a very scary one. It's one that does not inspire me to want to delve into this. And my exams today, I've been busy with hanging out with friends. Well, we have choices. Choices are an amazing thing. And you will go into it, and at this point, you will do however you do. And figuring also that once you learn something, anything, it is actually locked in your brain, whether or not we can access it. But, you know, being able to acknowledge it's like, yep, I made my choices. I chose to hang out with my friends, or I chose to play that video game, or I chose to just lounge in bed and take extra time. I mean, a choice is a choice. It's not necessarily a good choice or a bad choice, but the question is it a choice that brings you closer to your goal or keep you further away from it? But I'm sure that you will do just fine, and even if maybe you don't do as well as you could, you learned something very valuable, which is, to me, more important. I'm super happy. One of my friends and I are planning my Hero Academia homebrew D&D campaign. Nice. I finished my character details. Super happy. Yay! So, one of these days I'm going to learn D&D. Oh, Madam Sarcasm. It is. I was playing Dungeons and Dragons back in 1976. That's when I started playing. And Kimmy Beans, where is the southbound end of our northbound unicorn and our raining beans? This campaign is my main way of learning how to DM. Oh, yeah. Yes. A friend and I, we ran some games over at Dundracon, which is like this, you know, back then. I mean, I guess it's still big. In fact, I know some of the people who organize it now. But back in the day, that Dundracon was the biggest, most massive get-together of D&D minds and all that stuff. And so we signed up to run a game. And so we got these name tags made that said Dungeon Mistress. Yes. Hello. And since I have a second period spare for high school, my third period class is Canadian history. Nice. I was born in Newfoundland. There's a board game cafe near me, and they have beginner nights. I'm thinking about checking it out sometimes. Oh, Madam Sarcasm, you would love it. I forgot to hit enter. That's okay. My brother's cat keeps yelling at me. Oh, my God. One of the cats here's name is Bella, and usually I brush her, but I came home and, you know, I was kind of rushing to get things done and ready, and it was like, I can't deal with you right now, cat. I will brush you later. And she gave me this look that was just like, how dare you? And Necromandera, it's been a hot minute. Morning. This campaign is themed over an anime that my friend Sam and I are obsessed with. My Hero Academia is based on a modern world of superpowers, or quirks they call them in school, trains the future heroes against the villains. Nice. Well, remember, whatever it is you guys have going on, don't forget to put it over in Discord so other people can enjoy it. Now, yesterday we looked over in the Discord, which is our wonderful magical place where you can put animal pics and food pics and scenery pics and all that stuff. There we go. And what we did was, you know, I was looking at it and I saw this thing posted. We have a section called A Little Help Here. And in A Little Help Here, you know, if things aren't going well, if something's weighing on your body, your mind, or your spirit, you can post it there, you know, just to get support, to get it out of your own head. And what I saw is something that I want to talk about today, because I think there's a lot of people who are kind of going through this same thing. And this was posted by Mims World. And Mim said, I'm going to be honest. I'm better at helping other people see their success than I am at seeing my own. I know that is a common issue, but it's been a very big one for me lately. I long to have partner, whether with Twitch or some brand somewhere, a game, or even some form of merchandise. Something to help me boost forward past this bump I seem to have hit. My stream has not really grown. I've learned that followers, although great, do not mean your chat is active, and mine rarely is. I get little spikes here and there, but most of the time it's silent. And when I'm solo playing, that silence is deafening. I know this isn't something someone else can fix either. It's just left me feeling a bit defeated. So now I'm trying to find another source of income, and knowing I can't just go out and apply anywhere only makes that feeling of defeat worse. I got my bachelor's, but it went nowhere, and it's starting to feel that way about everything. I hope it's okay to have written this. I'm just struggling a lot right now. Okay. And I mean, this is something that a lot, and especially new streamers, you reach that point where, you make affiliate and it's really cool. Oh, I'm going to head out and head my exam in class, second period class about to end. I did stay a little last night with one of my hockey coaches. Yes, good. I love Pokemon. You've got this. You have got this. You got the tools. You got the talent. Believe in yourself. Don't get caught up in a story that you tell yourself. Just go in and do your best, because your best is good enough, but you're probably going to do better than you think. But let us know how it goes. But we're wishing you all the luck, but you don't really need it, because you've got smarts. You've got what it takes to succeed. We believe in you, and you've got this. So make sure you tell us how it went. Let's see. Another ultrasound on July 2nd. So basically, and I know that there's some of you who, have different layers of streaming that you do. Pretty much, anyone that has an account is technically, I guess, someone who's a streamer. But there are different levels of it. There's like this spectrum. And on one end is like, you know what? Yeah, I have an account, but I don't stream anything. I just like to go in and hang out in other people's streams, and that's the only reason why I have it. And they're very happy there. At the other end of the spectrum is the fully partnered massive streamers who this is their full-time job. It is a 60 to 80 hour a week job that they do, and it's their complete focus to the denial of all else, and they're happy at that end. But there is all of this space in between. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is that, I know of a lot of folks who stream, or they start off streaming, and there's this idea, it's like, well, once I make affiliate, partner's right around the corner. And no. That is, it's a certain level of work to get to affiliate, which, if you do, I am, and it's a very amazing feeling. And at the same time, there's this whole, the finish line is the starting line for the next race. And that one between affiliate and partner is a marathon. And a lot of times, I'll have people, kind of venting about the fact that, their streams don't get the momentum that they want, and, they really want to be able to get up to that next level. And if that's something that you want to do, which it's demanding, the thing is that in order to make this something you make money off of, it's got to be treated like a job, which means a minimum of like at least 40 hours a week. And that 40 hours, probably would be divided up if it were in, like a little pie you were slicing up. It's like, okay, the biggest section would be streaming. Then there's networking. Then there's editing and posting, because of course you need to have more than one platform. And if we treat streaming like a full-time job, I would say that, that'll get you closer. That'll be something that you're able to work on. And I'd love to hear you guys, y'all guys, gals, in between pals, uh, all of your collective experiences. I mean, where do you see yourself on that spectrum? And what is it that you've been trying to do? But I'm sure that a lot of people can identify with what Mims was talking about, that, it doesn't really feel like it's growing, the motivation is dropping. And usually when motivation drops, that's when the reality, the honeymoon is over. It's like, up to affiliate and probably about like a week after affiliate. That's like, to me, that's the honeymoon phase. Then the the real work of affiliate comes in, because it's like, okay, you made affiliate, now you have to make at least $50, because otherwise, that's the minimum in order to get paid. I mean, it doesn't disappear, it goes into the next month, but you have to make like, $50.01 in order to be able to get any type of payout. So in order to do that, you have to really, we all have to really kick it up and go, oh, okay, this is the least I can do. And now I have to kick it up to a higher level. And, and I guess that streams can be divided up into streams based on, let's say, financial success versus streams based on, like, popularity and viewer interaction and all of that, which, sometimes those work together and sometimes they don't. I mean, you might have a whole mess of people in your stream, but you don't get any subs out of it. Or, you might have a whole bunch of followers, but, they're not really viewing. So, and, networking is a big part of it. Leftover soto I am with sourdough garlic. Yes, yes. I will if she still have. I will respond how I think I did. Yes, yes. Okay, I'll only be on for an hour today, but we will be back tomorrow. Affiliate is not that hard, but getting a partner is a long and rough path. Yes, even if you get all the stats, they can still deny you if they don't believe your brand. And that is true. It doesn't happen automatically. You have to apply. And it's like, with affiliate, they could actually withhold affiliateship. Like, let's say they think, maybe you bought followers or something like that. If there's a big, if there's something holding up a red flag, they will say, no, we're not making you an affiliate. But, it's affiliate you can get, and, have that be, something like, because mainly it's, well, let's look at it. Hold on. We're going to take a look at what is required. And, yeah, and I wanted to focus on this sort of thing today. Let's see. Analytics, achievements. Okay. So, for the, I have got to move me over and make me a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay, path to affiliate. Reach 50 followers, stream for 8 hours, stream on 7 different days, and average 3 viewers over like a week. And, and that's something, and I mean, back in the days before everybody got in trouble for follow, this was a lot easier to do, because, somebody comes into the stream, it's like, hey, I'm going for affiliate. It's like, okay, everybody in the stream, go follow them. And now that's a great big old no-no. So it does take a bit more, but, to have to do that. Now, path to partner, stream for 25 hours, okay? Stream on 12 different days, and the sticky part of this is average 75 viewers over a 30-day period. So you have to have an average, which means over 8 or over 75, because 75 is your average number. And it really is in 32.48 hours streamed. So, you have to meet the requirements within the same 30-day period. And it's tough because a lot of people have other stuff that they do. A lot of people have, full-time jobs that streaming is only a part-time thing, for now, at least until summer hits. For me, streaming is a part-time thing when I was on the mountain, and I had a lot more control over my schedule, and especially when everything shut down for COVID, which was when I started. And I could basically just sit. I was streaming 6 days a week, back then. So it can be tricky, to be able to. And then, when you reach partner, just got my grocery delivery, time to start cooking for the week. Nice. You and Asta can compare notes. So, for those of you who do have a dream, hubby and I had our anniversary. 9 years. Oh, congratulations, sweetheart. Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. That's all I know about that song. So, just out of curiosity, okay, how many people who are in the chat, at this time, how many of you aspire to be able to be a full-time streamer? What I mean by full-time streamer is that your stream produces sufficient income for you to live comfortably solely on the income of your stream. Like, you don't even need to have any other jobs. Necrondare, hey Doc, I just re-entered the dating pool at age 43 after a decade. I have 2 dates this weekend with guys I met online. Any advice? Oh, sweetheart. First off, you are amazing. You are lovely. You are brave. You are awesome sauce. You are the bee's knees and cute as all get out. Just remember that when you're meeting them. This isn't a job interview. This is about figuring out, if somebody matches up. They might and they might not. And, just being honestly you. Yeah, basically the best advice, and also keep in mind, I haven't dated in like 20 years, so if I don't keep up with practice, I do keep up with theory. And one thing that is pretty consistent and that I'm pretty confident in is that guy is as much and if not more nervous than you are. Because they're like, oh God, is she is she gonna tell me that women don't need men? Is it because I don't know why that whole thing came up. This whole it's like, oh, we don't need no men, or oh, men are only good for paying for things and all of that. But if you met online and you at least got to know a little bit about each other. But I think that it is about just consider I'm meeting a new friend or a possible new friend. We take boyfriend out of the scenario right now and just think, is this somebody who I'd like to hang out with? Maybe I'd like to learn more about them. Maybe after one evening it's like, no. But that's okay. And you can be able to, just be yourself. Because you are the awesome sauce. You're amazing. And any guy would be absolutely lucky beyond belief to have your company. So, the one suggestion that I usually give is, ask questions about them. And hopefully that encourages them to ask questions about you. But, I find that, one, it takes the pressure off of you as like, oh God, what do I share? What do I don't share? When you're the one, it's like, so, wow, you're into this particular thing. If you don't know much about it, it's like, I really don't know much about it. Could you tell me? And people get very comfortable when they talk about things that they enjoy. So, just have fun, sweetie. But either way, you are the brass ring that I'm sure anybody would want to be able to reach for. So, just be you. If streaming is still around when I retire, I'll probably try it. For now, I don't have the time. Yeah. Which is an absolutely good thing to be able to, say it's like, okay, I just do not have the bandwidth right now. No, no, thank you. Streaming is for fun for me. Yep. I'm legally insane, so the government here will pay me till I die. Wow, that's a cool thing. I think I'd be less nervous if I knew how to get disengage safely if we're not a match. Okay. I would say if it's a situation where, it's like, okay, this is not a match and I'm feeling a little bit weird. What you can do is, let's say the date is at 7 and, you leave your phone like on the table, you don't be talking on it all the time. You leave the phone on the table and have a friend, like if your date starts at 7, have a friend call you at 8. Because within the first hour, if it's like, okay, these vibes are not there, and then, your friend calls and it's like, you know what, hold on just a second. I've got a friend who's going through something right now, and I told her that I would be reachable, if you don't mind just a second. And then, you just either look at it or, or answer it. She can hang up and you're just like, oh, okay, all right. And then you can just let them know it's like, you know what, there's a little bit of an emergency going on, so we're going to have to call this. Another way to do it is disengage. Let's say the person has very strong political views that you disagree with. Basically, if you say that it's like, oh, wow, well, I feel this way, they will want to disengage with you. It's like, oh, this is a feminist, or this is a conservative, or this is a, whatever. If it's somebody who talks a lot of religion, talk pagan. But, but in my mind, the most honest thing to say is, you go through the meal and, which is like, order something that isn't going to take a lot of time to prepare or eat. If you choose something, it's like, well, beef Wellington, well, they're going to be in there at least a half an hour to 45 minutes cooking it. Choose something that is cooked fast, that doesn't take a lot of time to eat. I mean, you could always add time with dessert, but just be honest and say, you know what, I really appreciate meeting with you, and this is kind of the thing of online dating, but I'm really, not feeling it. You can be honest. And the thing is, if you have to tell yourself a story, tell yourself a good one. Or you go through the meal, and you say goodnight to the person, and then the next day you send them out a text saying, I really appreciate meeting you, but I really don't feel that, I didn't feel kind of the chemistry between us, and, I wish you well. So, you can just, I mean, worst case scenario, I've got to go to the bathroom, and then you bolt. But, it is, I mean, or your problem may be that both dates match up so amazingly well that you're not sure which one you want to go for. Thank you. Went to eat at the place. We had our first date. Nice. And got the same waitress. Oh my gosh. She just loves how she helped facilitate the relationship by allowing us to keep drinking coffee after closing. Hubby was already VIP to them way back when. The same woman works there still, even after the place was bought out. I'm so happy they kept most of the staff because they're wonderful people. Nice! Hello, Kimmy! Just tell them sorry, this doesn't work for me. What's up with not being honest? Honesty isn't always safe. Yes. Well, and it can depend. it can depend on a lot of things, because, you know, if this is somebody that is potentially, you know, quite possibly, you know, not okay. I mean, you just say, you know, this doesn't work for me, then they're going, well, why? Why doesn't it work for me? Why doesn't it work for you? And they want to start a discussion on that. Um, you know, there are times when abject honesty can be very tricky. And it's also different coming from like a, you know, when you've got, you know, male versus female. And, you know, some women do get very nervous around the idea of a guy kind of getting upset or becoming resentful or starting to stalk or something. And yes, stalking happens, both male and female. You know, you know, and yes, I do believe that honesty should be safe, but, you know, the truth is that, yeah, you know, it can be very difficult. And also there is honesty. Sometimes people, I think, get that phrase confused. You could say, this is how I honestly feel, this is my honest opinion, but people think it's like, well, I can totally disregard someone else's feelings because I'm being honest. It's like, you know, and I have heard some of the pettiest opinions expressed, and the person just kind of rolls out, well, I'm just being honest, after, you know, insulting you. And it's like, you know what? Opinions are like a meal at a restaurant. They should be presented as well as they can be. They should be what someone requested. You know, it's like, if I want your opinion, I'll ask. But yeah, you know, it's like sometimes when you're honest with people, it can be very hard to hear. And it shouldn't be about being hurtful or anything like that, but you don't know what someone else considers hurtful. I mean, even a phrase as simple as like, well, this doesn't work for me, could be devastating to someone to hear. And how they react will really depend a lot. And, you know, and yes, I do keep in mind in the fact that, you know, when I'm out dealing with people, I'm a very short statured female. Now, granted, I know a lot of ways that can damage a human body, but still, you know, it's that idea that, you know, if I am not careful in how I word something, just being flat out honest does not always turn out comfortably. If you're on Facebook, see if there's an "Are we dating the same guy" group in your area. You can see if there's the guy has any red flags. True. I've heard of this group. Thanks. Honesty can be dangerous in some situations. I have to make a police report of a situation. I had no choice but to be dishonest, at least until we got to a safe place. Sometimes people are just awfully dangerous. Hi, hello, Merch. You know, and is that the majority of people? Absolutely not. Most people are just, why are you making noise? I thought I turned your sound off. Most people are just as nervous, just as awkward, and just as hopeful as anyone else about, there, sound off, about trying to find someone. I mean, I dealt recently with a situation where there was a gentleman who made it very clear that he wanted, you know, a relationship. The tricky thing was, it was just after the ending of the first year that he, you know, that his wife passed away, and they had been together for, you know, decades. And knowing what I know about that process, pretty much the first year after you lose someone that significant to you, especially if it's a spouse, the first year you're going through like the first Valentine's Day, the first birthday, the first Christmas. It also involves a lot of technical stuff, and you're dealing with a lot of paperwork and all of that. So that first year is kind of a blur. And for me, the real grief begins the second year. Well, he was just starting the second year because that's when the reality that that person is truly gone kicks in. And so he apparently set his sights on me, and we performed in a play together. And I mean, it started off okay, and like I said, I haven't dated in 20 years. So, and I even thought about it. It's like, well, he's an okay guy. He's kind of nice. But then there were traits that were not, they weren't red flags for anyone but me. And what I mean by that is he was perfectly fine, and I know he'd be a perfect date for someone who is different from me. But because of my life experience and, how I view things and how I perceive things, it's like, no, not he. I mean, I was honestly not his type, and he was honestly not mine. And the thing is, he wanted to not be alone. And he saw me as someone who he could talk to, who he felt comfortable with, who could kind of make him laugh. But I will never be his late wife. And I knew he was just really starting to accept the reality that the woman who he loved, and I do not doubt for a single second that he loved her with all of his heart. But now he just didn't want to be alone, which meant he didn't want me. He wanted who he needed me to be. And I ended up having to be very blunt with him and just laying it out and saying, no, we cannot have a relationship. It's not going to work between us in that way. We can be friends, but as far as a relationship goes, no, we can't. And he was very upset for a while. And he's a big guy. I did not necessarily feel afraid, but I was aware that it's like, okay, he knows where I live. He knows that I spend a lot of time walking by myself, especially at night because I take the bus. So, I mean, and yes, those thoughts pass my mind, but it's like, no, I don't think so. I don't think he's like that. But it was a hurtful thing for him, and I felt bad for him. But it's a tricky thing, relationships, because it's about really finding someone who you can be yourself with. And I know that there is an absolutely perfect woman out there for him, and I hope he finds her. But it can't be me. Let's see. I did something crazy. What? I did an IRL stream at the beach with my family. Good for you. So be honest to everyone who actually matters and be wary of those you aren't sure about. Take friends on the first date, arrange a group thing. Yeah. I mean, I probably, and I know there are people who, do take friends on the first date. I would say that would have to be something that would have to be clearly set up with both sides. Because I've heard people say that, and especially guys, say that, they show up to a date and there's a woman and she's got somebody else with her. Oh, well, I just brought my friend. And it immediately goes, okay, you think you decided not to tell me this in advance. Why? I mean, and that's why things like for first date coffee dates. I love the idea of coffee, go for a walk in the park, but you just like, okay, we're going to meet for a lunch, have a lunch thing as opposed to a dinner thing, something that has a limited amount of time. And, sorry for it wasn't a random subject change. In fact, that's a subject we started off with. It is, and I would say, and also honesty and understanding fully, it's an opinion. Honesty is solely an opinion. When somebody says, well, I'm being honest with you, they're giving you an opinion. Honesty does not equal truth. It is their truth, but it is not the truth. And, and also you've had a chance to, kind of feel this, these folks out online. So, you can make agreements. Mr. Paramedic 9411, morning. Peace out. Don't want to get my blood pressure up. Okay. Hugs. So, the idea that, relationships can be very, very, very tricky. And figuring out and navigating it at any age can be a really difficult thing. And I guess in some ways it's almost like streaming. Hold on to you, just bear with me for this. Go with me on this. In both cases, you're going into a situation where basically you are presenting yourself, while at the same time, what you present is kind of up to you. You can create an image, create a persona that, you interact with people on. And it is a little bit anxiety inducing to try to figure out how someone else is going to react to you. What can I do to make myself, my stream, the most, attractive to somebody? And the idea that, it is about not everything is for everyone. Not everyone is for everyone. And it's okay, and believe me, in some cases, that other person, if they're going through the exact same thing, oh my God, what if I don't like this person? And I have had some nightmare blind dates. Yes, nightmarish. I mean, hellscape type of blind dates. And it was after that that I decided, and we're not doing this no more. No, I'd rather spend the rest of my life alone with pets than go through this again. And that's why you got to be your own worst critic. If I don't like what I'm doing, I don't do it. That's true. I mean, and your inner critic can at the exact same time be your inner cheerleader. Because the perfect balance of that inner critic is like, okay, here's the things we need to do. Here's the things we want to achieve. Here's the things. What am I doing today to make this happen? And if I'm not doing anything, why not? And at the same time, that exact same part of you can go, we've got this. We can do this. We just have to figure out how. And we have to commit to it. And we can do that. That's why it's important to watch your body. Yeah. And when, and that's something a lot of people don't do, is to watch their old videos. And it's like, oh, okay, let me take a look at that. That's a really good, I'm so glad you brought that up, Merch, because that is a very important thing. It's like, any skill that you're developing, being able to watch yourself do it, it's like, oh, okay, if I do this, it'll be a little bit better if I do this, and make notes for yourself. That's how you get better at anything. Exactly. Exactly. Fist bump, high five, twinsies. So being able to view ourselves objectively, both objectively and subjectively. We can have our opinions about ourselves, and in most cases, most people tend to beat themselves up more. And when Merch said, oh, well, I focus more on others, what was it? I'm better at helping other people see their success than I am at seeing my own. Okay? Then the question that begs is why? Why is it easier to help someone else succeed than to reach for our own success? And that is a question that a lot of people have a hard time with. And being able to balance that out and say, okay, here are, the qualities that'll help me achieve the thing I want to achieve. Here's the things that I currently, in this moment, don't have available to me. And here are the things that that I can do in order to either make up for it or to acquire the things I need. And, it is, hold on. Coronal notes format. Question left, answer right, summary bottom. Oh, that's interesting. I have never heard of that. That's cool. Put that over in the Discord somewhere. Put that over in like inspiring thoughts or something, because that is interesting, because I can visually see it. Questions left, answers right, summary at the bottom. I mean, it's almost like soap notes in the, different medical fields. And I had to learn how to do soap notes. So basically a soap note, SOAP. These are notes that we would take whenever we were dealing with a patient. And I mean from the moment the patient walks in. So you put like an S with a circle around it. Subjective. What does that person say about what they're going through, which is all of their symptoms, all of their, the opinions they have about it, the feelings they have behind it, all of that. Anything the person themselves has to say outside of any test. So, oh, well, I was trying to roller skate and I fell and I did this and it hurt here and it hurt there. And, I had trouble, putting weight on my left leg and, and all this other stuff. Those are all subjective because it is outside of any testing. The O in SOAP is for objective. So you have subjective findings and then objective findings. That's when you guys like, oh, okay, I think I've got an idea as to how it happened. I'm going to run a few tests and I want you to tell me, whether it hurts, whether it makes the pain worse, whether it makes the pain better. If you notice any change in the symptoms and all of that stuff. And that's where you would do your testing. You would do muscle testing. You would palpate, and check to see. It's like, okay, well, as I palpate this section, there's inflammation and the tissue is warm to the touch relative to the tissue around it. Maybe there's swelling. It's like, okay, I see swelling. I see signs of bruising, all of that stuff. Anything that is verified by a test that you see, it has nothing to do with what the person says. Then you get to assessment, SOAP. P is, or SOA, assessment. That means, okay, based on my findings, both subjective and objective, I believe the person has a, sprain strain with contusion, bruising, inflammation. If you believe that there may be a broken bone, it's like, possible fracture, all of that stuff. Then P is for plan. Okay, if we think that there's a possible fracture, it's like patient is being referred for x-rays and recommendation to patient, home care recommendation, rest, ice, compression, elevation. We'll review, and patient will come in 1 week to review, for me to review the injury. Recommended 2 visits, per week for the next 4 weeks. So that is subjective findings, objective findings, assessment, and plan. And frankly, I use SOAP notes. I use them for 20 years with patients, but I mentally use SOAP notes whenever I'm dealing with something that I need to kind of figure out. It's like, okay, maybe I'm hesitant about going into a particular situation. It's like, okay, subjective. I am feeling nervous. I feel stressed when I think about doing this particular thing. It brings back memories of other things and all of that. Objective would be, I am unfamiliar with this situation. There will be, several people that I do not know. The location is one that it may not be easy for me to get to. So, assessment, I'm hesitant to go into a situation where I am feeling vulnerable, and the logistics are a concern because I don't know if I'll have time to get there in the time that I need. So the plan would be, first off, to decide whether or not I am going is like, you know what? My plan is that I'm not going to go. That's my plan. Or, let people know I will not be able to make it. Or, being able to, it's like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure I'm able to leave early enough to get there on time. If I'm taking public transit, I will consider that if I'm coming back late, that I may Uber part of the way so that, or I may be able to get a ride. So, yeah, SOAP notes. And the reason that I like them is it separates subjective and objective findings, because most people kind of glom those together. And it separates what we feel from what we know. And, sometimes those are difficult things to separate. So when it comes to, let's say when it comes to MIMS, and having that difficulty in, I want my stream to do well, I want to make partner, and I'm not motivated, I'm not feeling, that I've got any momentum, I'm getting very discouraged. That discouragement is, kind of bleeding out into other areas of my life. So the subjective of this would be how MIMS is feeling, and what it is that is their experience with it, and what has led to the feelings that they're having now. Objective would be, okay, how often are they streaming? What are their statistics? What do their analytics look like? Are there any trends? Is it that, when they play one particular game, their analytics improve, and when they play a different game, those analytics go down? Does that mean that you don't play the game that the analytics go down? No, not if that's a game you love. If it's a game you love and the response to it is not great, okay, how can I improve the response that I get? And one of those ways would be to start connecting with, finding streamers that play that same game and see what they do with it. There's that research piece. And, there's a lot of that, kind of comes around. So, it's like you've got your subjective, you got your objective. You use both of those to assess. Well, based on the fact that I do not stream very often, or my streams are inconsistent, or I do not have a schedule for my streams, if I am going to stream, I need to be able to commit to a schedule, because that's something that allows people to go, oh, okay, it's this time of day. Isn't that one streamer that I really like streaming now? And to stick to it as much as possible, to be as consistent as possible, and to look at the trends of, are there certain times of day that my stream does better as opposed to other times? So, the assessment could be that more consistency needs to be applied to the streaming, that the content needs to be focused on the things that that I enjoy, that I present well, that I do well, based on the response I'm getting. And to do research. Who else is doing the thing that I'm doing, and how are they doing it? Is there something that I can go, oh, well, you know what? And it's not about copying anybody. It's about like, oh, they do this particular thing, and that seems to really work. And I think that's something I can do. But I'd say consistency. I mean, most of the people who are like the big top end streamers, I mean, they stream. I mean, once you reach a certain level, you can do fewer streams. But as you're fighting up that mountain, most of them would do stream 7 days a week, anywhere from, 6 to 8 hours a day. They have nothing else in their lives but that. Does it require that to, it's like, well, in some cases, yeah. If the person is that driven and wants to achieve that, yeah, you sacrifice other things, which is almost impossible because most people have other obligations during the day. So you get to the plan, the P in the soap notes. You decide a particular schedule that works with you, that you can be consistent with. Have it be as consistent, and as frequent as possible. Okay, I need to integrate other social media platforms. So it's like, all right, if I've got Twitch, I want to get onto Twitter/X, start up a Discord, get an Instagram, TikTok, hit as many as you can, knowing that you are going to have to schedule time. It's like, okay, it's going to be from here to here's my streaming time, and then when I'm not streaming, that's when I'm updating social media, when I'm keeping up with things, when I'm answering questions, when I'm networking. The amount of time that you interact with other streamers that do something similar to what you're doing. And a lot of them are, especially in their Discord, they're willing to give advice, and it's like, well, this is what worked for me. So it is about being able to, take it from, and it always starts with what the person feels. That's at the core of it. That's the driving force. Then you bring in left brain and go, okay, what are we really dealing with here? What are we really looking at? What are the things that are, the actual things that are being an issue without the feelings in it? Then you go, okay, based on those, this is what I think we're dealing with. And then you create a plan that you can live with, that you can be able to, to make work. And being able to make it work is a very, 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 very important piece to it, because of the fact that in order to maintain consistency, you need to have that, you need to have it be something that is not going to create stress in you. Yeah, it's like, how many people, make the thing, it's like, well, I'm going to go to the gym 2 hours a day, every day. Yeah, that's not happening. That's most likely not happening. To commit to every day, I'm going to go for 2 hours every day. And maybe you can, but maybe you can't. So, if you create something that is easy to live with, it makes it a lot easier to be able to find joy in it when it becomes not what you have to do, but what you get to do. And for me, that's at the heart of it. When I remind myself, I don't have to do this, I get to. And sometimes that can be that thing that makes it fun again, makes it something that you enjoy doing. The best advice that I ever got regarding a job was, figure out what you would do for free, then figure out a way to get paid for it. So, preach God, mother, yes. One of my favorite streamers combines gaming and politics. Another combines gaming with indigenous awareness. Most successful streamers I've seen are a combination of gaming and something else. Yeah. I mean, I used to love being able to do the Saturdays and, have that as my gaming time. And now, my rehearsals kind of run late, and, there's some other stuff I need to take care of. So for the summer, I'm definitely going to be bringing in a lot more gaming, and I am in love with Cult of the Lamb right now. So I want to actually see the game through. So we will be back with Cult of the Lamb. But, being able to, it's about being both true with yourself, honest with yourself, and gentle with yourself. There's a saying that before you say anything, you should ask yourself 3 questions. Is it true? Is it kind? And is it necessary? And I think that that's something that we should ask ourselves before we start telling ourselves anything. So on that note, we're going to call that is our hour. I hope everyone has an amazing rest of your day. Please, 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 please take care. And, you know, watch out for the stories you're telling yourself. Because either way, you're making it up. So if you're going to tell yourself a story, why not tell yourself a good one that makes you happy? I mean, reality will kick in at some point, but it's sort of like buying a lottery ticket. Even if you figure, you know, I'm probably not going to win, but after you buy it, you have that few moments where you think about all the amazing things that you would do if you won. And that makes us feel good. So enjoy that. And Necromandera, you're going to do just fine on your date. You're a delight. You will be fine. It's okay. Take care. And everyone, you know, hopefully this will help you enjoy the rest of your day. If your day is ending, congratulations, you made it through. If your day is just beginning, seize it and make it your own. And as always, please remember that you are the only you in all the universe. You're the only you that's ever been and the only you that will ever be. And what that does is it makes you special, it makes you sacred, and most of all, it makes you necessary. Because as the only you in all of the universe would not be the same or complete without you. So my reality is that I have 8 hours to make shakshuka, green chili soup, and mashed potato salad. That sounds delicious. I want pictures. Alrighty, everybody, take care. Have an amazing morning, afternoon, evening, or night. May the world walk gently with you. May you walk gently with it. And as always, I wish you balance and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. So have a good day. Learn something new. I'm proud of you and I love you. All right, off to go pick up kids for the afternoon. Bye.
Emerald Queen, where the gamers unite.